You both mentioned financial education or education in general, and I kind of want to hit on that with you, Nick. Are there any special financial education programs or tech education programs for parents or for fans alike, either on the website or just in general, that you think should be implemented so that these student athletes can be ahead of the game once they enter the collegiate level?
That is a fantastic question. And also I want to take the time and say I love what Austin's doing as well too, making it really easy, educating folks too. Like that artwork too, Austin, by the way. So great work with the University of Arizona athletes. And Isaiah, to directly answer your question, yes, we're spending a lot of our time, honestly, educating players, their parents, and also the universities too. Like we're talking to several conferences and we have a variety of other universities lined up the pipeline. And really what we do is, we hired the former assistant director of enforcement at the NCAA, Vic Donardi. He's a wonderful gem of a man to kind of lead our NIL and education arm, where we try to take parents, athletes, and honestly, broader communities, right, more on a one-off basis and doing seminars now on what is blockchain. What is Ethereum? How does blockchain actually work? And what is Polygon? What are NFTs? And then more importantly, how can people from this world, the sports world in particular, use Web3 as a way to learn about a new technology, right, and ultimately build their wealth over time? Now, I think it's very important to that as we start educating these folks, right, that we tell them, like, listen, do not be make sure that you do not invest more money than you're prepared to lose, right? Make sure that your private keys are kept incredibly safe. I had like an hour and a half call with like Jack Cohen, honestly, about like what he should be thinking about doing for his NFTs. Non-investment advice, be fully clear. And I really think like we had a total space actually I think it was about 2 months ago too, where we had several like agents from the NBA and the NFL on too, and the biggest thing our space needs, particularly in sports, is just education. Telling people like, hey, this is not, in some cases, not a financial asset. Like you're buying this for the community. You're buying this to support these players too, and kind of breaking that linkage of NFTs are stocks and bonds. Because that's where I see that coming up all the time in conversations I'm having. And really showing people like this is, we're on the precipice of a massive economic revolution across the world and more importantly in the United States. And we want to make sure that athletes can benefit from this because when they go to the NFL or the NBA or WNBA, right, all of those leagues already have, well-established NFT platforms, right? And, when people are signing contracts, their agents and financial managers are saying, oh, you should be doing 5-10%, right, in risk on assets such as crypto. And so I think that's really a space where we need a lot more education. And I've actually been really encouraged by what a lot of folks in the space, like FTX, for example, is using a lot of focus on crypto right now. They spent around $500 million last year alone on sports partnerships between buying naming rights for Miami, the Heat Arena. They spent like $17.5 million on naming rights for Cal, which is crazy, by the way. And they've already done, I think, 4 separate NIL deals where they're actually giving athletes the ability to mint their NFTs and also FTX, I think it was card or pay tied into it, whereas a very seamless transition from, someone buys your NFT, the money flows into their account, flows into an actual card that you can swipe and use in real life. So I'm really encouraged, and also what Austin's doing as well, to do more education as well. So it's great to be in the space.
Yes, and I'm a big proponent for education. That is usually the bridge between where we are and where we're going. And once people learn about it, and becomes second nature, right? And people can use it like every day. And that's the goal here, I believe, for both Draftly and Athletes Express to get there to that standard. And Austin, with that being said, one of the things that was mentioned are sports DAOs. And I know Nick mentioned it and you as well. What is the utility for sports DAOs so that anyone that's watching, they can say, hey, this is a good chance for me to join a community? And what are some of the utilities that you would get out of it?
Well, we don't currently run any DAOs, but I'll definitely speak to what Nick is doing in a complimentary way and why I think it's cool. When you buy their NFT, Nick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're buying a ticket to that community and you're also buying voting rights. And you have equity in how that money is distributed, right? I'm taking it back. I want to take it back to, again, the comparison I have from, the quarterback making $7 million to people buying collectibles and sharing a couple bucks of revenue with someone who maybe isn't a star. In the same way, we have these marketing collectives, which are awesome. Again, I love that these marketing collectives exist. I think they're a great middle ground for NIL and providing opportunities to athletes. But I love that this specific marketing collective is saying, hey, it's not just these boosters and donors that want to direct millions of dollars in all these directions that a couple people control. This is a marketing collective where the money is distributed based on what everybody wants to do. and every single person that participates has a piece of that governance and has equity in what's going on. I think giving people equity in their journey, not just as athletes, but as fans, is super important. And to me, that's the value of a sports DAO, and specifically what Draftly is doing with Miami.
Thank you so much, Austin.
Nick, you can jump in as well.
I was going to say, thank you so much, Austin. You get it 100%, and I don't think I could have said it better myself. But I think the real thing with like these sports DAOs really is we want the fans to have an actual active say in what happens at these colleges and these universities. For too long, this space has been controlled by millionaires and billionaire boosters, right? That are doing great work, right, by providing opportunities via these NIL collectives, name, image, likeness collectives. Spry is a good example at Tennessee. There's literally every single Power 5 school will have an NIL collective over the coming year, and they're raising anywhere from like $5-20 million. But predominantly from these like big, wealthy boosters, and the regular fans don't get a say in how that community is built over time. And so really what we're doing is, like Austin said, when you buy that NFT, it's your ticket into that community. It's your ability, right, to submit proposals for how that money that you were crowdfunding through your NFTs is actually used. Let's say, for example, when we launch Kane's DAO next week to the public, we raise a sum of money, right? And we want to use 20% to support the softball team in Miami, right? Or maybe we want to use 35%, right, to support the football team. Ultimately, it's up to those fans to make those decisions. I think what's really cool about sports DAOs is Draftly, and I think what Austin's doing as well. We're not trying to tell fans how to spend their money or what they should do. We want to give them the power, empower them to actually enter into direct relationships with these athletes and with these teams. And in so doing that, we actually strengthen college sports for the future. And I think that's where I get really excited too, is how do we have the regular fans be involved instead of just having the coaches, the athletes, the boosters.